And welcome to Flightdeck Live, powered by SportBuff. If you use the code Flightdeck10 at checkout, you will save 10% off your entire order at sportbuffshop.com. I'm Tim Capper, along with Cliffy D. Pine. Welcome to the regular season finale of Flightdeck Live, where the Alouettes lay an egg. I don't give a crap what people say. This ended up being a glorified preseason game for the Alouettes for reasons being which we understand. But the Owls have an anemic 19-10 loss at BC. Excuse me, at Winnipeg. We have foreshadowing of who we're playing next. What a difference a year makes, Cliff, from what it was last year at Percival Molson between these two teams. Almost the exact type of thing where one team it meant everything, one team it meant nothing. Same time around, but this game was hard to watch. Again, I understand why these decisions were made, but hard to watch.
Without question. But I mean, I think this game truly, if it served of no other purpose, was if people were to ask, well, why isn't Davis Alexander playing? He's dressed. Why isn't he playing? Doesn't he want to extend his undefeated streak and so on and so forth? No, this game wasn't going to be about that. Simply put, there was just no possible way Davis Alexander was going to play this game. The minute last night's game ended between Hamilton and Ottawa, Hamilton secured first place in the East. There was no way in hell Davis Alexander should have saw the field. I mean, had the Red Blacks won the game and gave Ottawa that or gave Montreal the chance to possibly contend for first place, yes, absolutely, you would have seen Davis Alexander. He was dressed, he was ready to go, but
yeah.
And the smart thing they decided this morning was no. MBT, he's getting the start. Davis's undefeated streak in the regular season will continue on to next year, which is great. And we all know bloody well that Davis Alexander is going to start in the Eastern semifinal next Saturday. It was just going to be a matter against who, and that's what was being determined today. MBT gets to start, and you're absolutely right. Just lays an egg. Like we got to see the Davis or the MBT that played so many games this year for the Alouettes and ultimately lost so many games for the Alouettes this year. And okay, well, you know, you hoped and prayed that, you know, maybe he'd have that sort of flash of brilliance that he had, say, against the Saskatchewan Roughriders out at Mosaic Stadium, or even in that game where he won by the balls of his ass against the Toronto Argonauts at BMO Field. I mean, he did have a positive record on the road this year, at least for that. But ultimately, he is who we thought he was. I think that's really what it came down to, is McLeod Bethel Thompson is who we thought he was.
And as you said, I understand the reasoning for not starting Davis Alexander. I understand the reasoning for Tyler Sneed being out. I'm sure some of the guys that didn't play the entire game, well, we understand the reasoning there, but still, there were still some concerns either way, considering that we had two players who seemed to go out with injuries. One being Mustafa Johnson, and the other one being, who was it? It was
actually there was more potential injuries.
Lawal Ugalak, maybe Stevie Scott. We're not sure.
Jesse Gibbon as well also got banged up and was actually on crutches at one point. So,
oh boy,
not great. I mean, ultimately the goal here for Montreal, if you weren't going to get the win, just get out healthy. You know, because you know you're going to more than likely you're going to be playing these guys next week, depending on what happened today in Winnipeg, and as well what's going to happen in the BC Saskatchewan game that's going to be happening in about an hour's time, or less than an hour's time, really. Right now, I mean, it's very possible you could be playing the same, well, not exact same Blue Bombers team next week, but you will be playing the Winnipeg Blue Bombers next week. If Saskatchewan finds a way to win, then, or actually, sorry, if BC wins, then you're going to be playing the Blue Bombers next week. If BC loses, then it's actually BC that makes the crossover to Montreal.
Yeah, and by the way, since we are live and we are in our home studio A and B for Flightdeck Live, make sure you do comment. We want to hear what you guys think about what happened this afternoon and your thoughts on this. But it just seemed that with all the issues currently this season, that, and I understand again, MBT is second string. You know, they put Davis to third and Shea Patterson to second string. over the last couple of weeks, if anybody has paid attention, whether it's been shown on TV or we pointed it out on social media, is that MBT has consistently had ice on his elbow. Consistently had ice on his elbow. And I think tonight's passes, continuously high, is a cause of that. Whether it's a direct result, don't know, but I think it has to be part of it. I know you have said otherwise. You think it's something else on top of that, but this MBT, I'm sorry. As much as I love Danny Mac, and I know there are bad trades in the CFL, this was a bad trade. This was a bad trade. I understand they wanted to have a veteran presence to back up Davis Alexander. This was a bad trade. I'm sorry.
What made me laugh was Dwayne Ford on the TSN broadcast was basically pumping up the fact that the Alouettes are lucky to have an MBT because of his experience, because of this and that. I'm like, bro, did you not watch any of those games during that 5-game losing streak where MBT was behind center, I believe, for all but one of them?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, as we said, he played an outstanding game in Saskatchewan. No question. He did just enough to get the win against Toronto. Okay. The game in Calgary that you were a part of, I mean, ultimately that was the defense and Jose Matos Diaz that won the game more so than MBT. In fact, I said at the time too, and I still stand by it. The Alouettes won that game in Calgary despite MBT, not because of MBT. I'm sorry, he is who we say he is, and he's not the guy. I mean, to blame the trade, and I guess as we discussed, I mean, you look at what Cody Fajardo did in Edmonton this year. There is no question. I mean, he's a starting quarterback in this league and deserves to be a starting quarterback. There was no way if Davis Alexander was able to stay healthy throughout the year. There's no way in hell Cody Fajardo would have been happy holding a clipboard here in Montreal. And when Davis did get hurt, I mean, if Cody Fajardo had stepped in and played like we expected him to, how do you go back to Davis Alexander? I think that was going to be the big question. And here, there's no question. Without question, as long as Davis Alexander is healthy and ready to go, he plays today, notwithstanding because of the circumstances. But yeah, I get your frustration about the whole thing, and believe me, I truly disappointed with how MBT has carried himself here in Montreal. And listen, it's not because he's a terrible person. It's really not. I actually think he seems like a really good guy. But
yeah,
this year he has shown time and time again that he is not the answer. He's not the problem, but he's not the solution. And
no,
ultimately, what's going to come down to, however far this Alouettes team goes in the playoffs, whether they get bounced next week against whomever, or they make it all the way to and end up winning the Grey Cup, it's going to be because Davis Alexander is behind center. And that's the one thing that everybody's got to take. You know, everybody who's upset about how this game ended today has to realize you have to look at the bigger picture. And as long as Davis Alexander, this team is going to go as far as Davis Alexander is willing to take them. As to risk him in this game today, essentially a nothing game for the Alouettes, because it doesn't change anything. Whether they won or lost, they are still going to be in second place in the Eastern Division. Whether they win next week or not, someone is going to go to Hamilton in 2 weeks and play that game to go to the Grey Cup. You want to put your best foot forward. And having Davis Alexander healthy, raring to go, and I guarantee he's probably just a little bit pissed off. I'm sure he wanted to play in this game today, and Jason Moss and the coaching staff did the smart thing and said, nah, you could dress if you want, but you are not playing in this game today.
Yeah. And again, I said, I have no problem with the choice that was made. Denny has chimed in here, says, I can't stand to see MBT with the Owls anymore. And as we were saying, played one good game. And Denny, I wouldn't condemn Danny Mac on the trade. We all thought he would do the job.
On paper, it looked like the kind of trade that you want to make. I mean, again, you wanted to give Cody Fajardo the opportunity that he simply was not going to get here in Montreal anymore. MBT at least has played in this league. He's won a championship. He has led a team to a championship. He's on paper, this was a good trade. But as you've said in the past, Tim, paper burns.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, wow, that's a deep cut. I like that one. That was good. That was good. Yeah. Again, Owls don't score an offensive touchdown. One of the few positives is that Jose Maltez Diaz did set the team record for most made field goals in a season, surpassing Damon Duval from 2009. So congratulations! Came this close to setting the league record. I think it was within 2. There you go. No offensive touchdowns. Second time this year, the Owls have not had any offensive touchdowns. Neither of the games, by the way, Davis was under center. One was Morgan, the other one was MBT. And on top of that, and I'm not saying it would have changed it either way, and we have to at least mention it too, is that it was a horrible injury to Chris Trevler for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
And he himself last year suffered a horrible injury and was not available for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the Grey Cup playoffs. So this is a tough blow for the Bombers. I mean, I'm sure they're saying to themselves, well, at least it wasn't Zach Collaros that got hurt. But at the same time, we saw what happened in the Grey Cup last year when Chris Trevler wasn't even dressed. Zach Collaros got hurt throughout the game. They had to go to Terry Wilson. And at that point, though, I mean, the damage was done. He played so poorly that they had to put Zach Collaros back in the game with blood running down his
I was about to say with a stitched up cut hand. Yeah.
Yeah. And even then, he still couldn't get the job done. I mean, it's that game. And yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say that injury right there to Strevler today was exactly the reason why you play your backups in a game like this, when you know for a fact that nothing changes in the standings. And also too, you had said earlier, well, why doesn't Shea Patterson get some reps at quarterback? He's, again, very important. He has a very important job in short yardage. And I'm sure if need be, they would have kept him in for a couple of plays. I'm actually surprised they didn't beyond any, goal line plunges or any sort of, efforts like that.
I wanted at least one drive, at least at the end of the game, where the Owls, at least on that drive at the end of the game, or lack thereof, when they went forward on 3rd and 5 from their 5. That, to me, that was giving it up right there. Do something different. I mean, it was not in no way, shape, or form was this game perfect. It wasn't even close to being perfect.
Nope.
You had issues with the O-line. Tiger Shanks got burned a few times tonight. You had the D line giving up, I think it was almost 200 total yards in rushing.
Yeah.
And that's what they did last time versus Winnipeg. It's funny. Davis Alexander has never started versus Winnipeg. That may change next week.
It may. I mean, we'll again, we still have to wait and see what happens as BC and Saskatchewan face off. It's going to be an interesting game in the sense too that Saskatchewan, they locked up first place a while ago.
Oh, that's a good comment there, Brandon.
Oh, there you go. Shanks was getting shanked.
Yeah.
Where's the lie? I'm sorry. But again, with Saskatchewan, they're kind of in a weird spot too, where they don't want to rest too many guys, but at the same time, they rested a lot of players last week, and they're about to go into a bye. Being able to host a Western final. I don't see Trevor Harris and too many of the starters for Saskatchewan getting too many reps, but at the same time, you got to work them a little bit. I mean, like I suggested, if you're going to play Davis Alexander in today's game, do it in the second half. Whereas I kind of wonder, maybe does Saskatchewan think about maybe, starting, was it Jake Mayer? I think he's the backup.
Yeah. So to backups, by the way, speak up, I still would have put in Shea Patterson for a couple of drives. I still would have done it because MBT was high all damn night.
No, I think a lot of it was mental. I think a lot of his problem was between the ears. I mean, I don't know what it is. It's just something about him. It's not clicking. And it hasn't truly clicked this year. Like the Saskatchewan game notwithstanding, I feel like that was more of an outlier more than anything else. I mean, it just wasn't. I don't know what it is with MBT. I mean, I hate to say it. I don't see him back in the league next year. I don't see him back with Montreal next year. I think Montreal has to truly think about who they want as a backup quarterback. I mean, are you going to go with somebody young? Or are you going to go with you're trying to find another veteran, maybe not, it's going to be an interesting call. That's for sure. I mean,
good comment by Denny, by the way. Deer in the headlights. That's pretty spot on tonight, I think. I really think so.
And unfortunately, that's been far too often this year. Is we've seen that look from MBT, like just as you said, like deer in the headlights. Like I mean, like just bewildered more than anything else. And you don't want that from your starting quarterback. I mean, even if he's thrown into a role, just all he has to do is be serviceable. All he had to do is maybe just handoffs or anything like that. But at the same time, too, like you have a certain expectation of your starting quarterback, and all MBT proved today is that he's not going to be able to get the job done. If God forbid Davis Alexander gets hurt in this playoff run, this Alouettes team is cooked. I'm sorry to say. I mean, that's just this once again shows why Davis Alexander is the Alouettes nominee for most outstanding player this year.
Yeah,
and
whether
or not you think it should be Tyler Snead or big play DA, I mean, I think Davis Alexander proved his worth. Even in the 7 games ultimately that he played this year, he showed just how outstanding he truly is. And again, if this Alouettes team is going to get to and win the Grey Cup in Winnipeg later this year, it's going to have to be with number 10 being at its absolute best.
Yeah, 100%. Danny brought up a good point too earlier. Is like he's happy for Jose, but it means that we're not ending the drives. We're not. That's been an issue all year. It's actually, especially with Davis not under center. I'm going to give a quick caveat to that, especially with Davis not being under center. But still, another thing too is another stat that I put out earlier today. The Alouettes this season only had 2 starting drives that ended in touchdowns. 2. I know it's not a big stat that's really followed in the CFL or really talked about that much. I know it's talked about quite a bit in the NFL, but 2 offensive drives, opening drives, only ended up in the touchdown. And I mean,
well, and ultimately you want to set the tone right away. So I mean, like that's a big part of it. And if you're not doing that, that means, and the other team's able to do that, then that puts you behind the 8 ball almost immediately. And yes, in the CFL, anything can happen. No lead safe, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, you got, again, ultimately, that should be your goal to start the game, is to punch your opponent in the mouth and just get them reeling right away. And if you can do that and you keep piling on, it's going to make it next to impossible for them to come back. And ultimately, in a lot of ways, I don't feel like either team almost, they were so hesitant to do anything of note. I mean, this year, this game it was really interesting. It was almost like, okay, we're just here because we have to be here kind of thing. I mean, I'm sure like the Winnipeg faithful, that sold out this game, which is remarkable in and of itself. I mean, I don't know what they were hoping for or expecting. I'm sure Winnipeg got the win. I'm sure that's all they care about, because they're not going to. The only way they're going to see the Bombers again in Princess Audio Stadium in 2025 is get to the Grey Cup, simply put. So, kind of an interesting afternoon of football out in the peg.
Yeah, that's for sure. If you look at the stats beyond for the game itself, Cliffy, you would think this game, it was basically even across the board, less the time of possession when Winnipeg had 7 more minutes. But Macbeth was 17 to 34 for 182 yards, no touchdowns and an interception. Who was he throwing to? I joked to you on social media when after he threw that interception directly to the Winnipeg player that he was going to blame it on the sun. I thought he was the sun. Made his jersey look white. No. And a lot of the time today is Ben not break, being that, that Wilson came in for Strevler. Rushing did fine. I mean, it's funny. Both Stevie Scott and Tajon Evans did the exact same thing, Cliff. They were both 7 attempts for 31 yards. I really would like to have a follow-up on those players that we mentioned earlier before when it comes to what their injuries are at. I know it's too early to say.
Yeah.
But we would like to know. But if Stevie Scott, for whatever reason, cannot go next week, Tajon looked to be a good replacement. He was a big bruiser boy, I tell you.
Oh yeah, he's he's played at Louisville, and they always seem to have offensive wizards playing for them, and just able to do things. So I'm not surprised that he was able to put his shoulder down and just start trucking. I mean, same as Stevie Scott. I mean, he's got that, that big frame, 220 plus pounds and quick as lightning, but still can hit like an MFer. So if Tayon Evans can be just like that, that'll be nice. But now it also begs the question too, if Stevie Scott can't go, does this mean that they maybe pull STE or Travis Tice
who
off? Because
was
again,
limited this week, by the way. I'll leave it at that.
I mean, we're in the playoffs now. I mean, you have to empty the clip. It's go big or go home next week, whether you're playing the Lions or the Bombers. I mean, you want to win. The winner of this game, the game next week, does go to Hamilton and try to get to the Grey Cup. So this is not the time to be. First of all, you can't be bringing in new people. Like, I mean, you got to almost play the hand you're dealt. But I mean, at this point, do one of those two guys who have been outstanding this year for the Alouettes before getting hurt, are they going to be ready to go? Are they going to be available to go if a Stevie Scott can't go? Because going into the playoffs with a true rookie running back, I mean, yes, Travis Tice is also a rookie, but he has played games this year for the Alouettes. So, I mean, like, he knows the system. He knows what's going on. And again, this ground game has to be important. I mean, to give Davis Alexander the time and space to do what he does best, yeah, you got to give him the pass protection, but at the same time, he's got to be able to hand off the rock to somebody. And hopefully they do outstanding things with it as well. So that's going to be something to really pay attention to this week in practice.
By the way, I looked it up, and since we don't know, I'll talk about it more on the podcast this Wednesday. Alouettes, despite Winnipeg being in the East as long as they had and they played together, the Owls and the Bombers have only played each other twice in the playoffs. The last time was in 2007. Well, BC and Montreal have played 3 times in the playoffs. Those are all on crossover. And the last time that they did that was in 2014. So,
well, technically, if you want to get technical, the last time the Bombers and the Alouettes played each other in the playoffs was the Grey Cup in 23.
Hence, and you and I went back and forth on this earlier when we talked about Davis's streak. That's why I said playoffs.
Yes,
didn't say Grey Cup. I said playoffs.
I know. Just like some numpty out there is going to be like, "Oh, wait a minute." Like, relax.
I'll make the point right now. I've already verified with Steve Daniel. It's very simple. Regular season stats, playoffs, and Grey Cup stats. They're all different within the rule book.
Et voila.
They're all different. They're their own separate thing. Come to the receivers today. It was Tyson Philpott after being shut out last week, and we actually learned that not getting a catch last week broke his streak of 31 straight games with a reception. He had 6 receptions on 13 targets for 66 yards. He did lead the team. Mac and Rambo each had 35 yards each. Mac did it on 4 catches. Rambo did it on 2.
One of Rambo's catches, the toe tap to stay in bounds, was absolutely gorgeous.
It was a beaut. 3 sacks tonight by the team. Oakman, Archibald, and Dequoy. Kind of, Isaac Ademi-Bergen's been quiet for the last 4 games, something like that.
Here's hoping he's saving it for the playoff run. Let's just leave it at that. But can we talk about Marc-Antoine Dequoy? Not only did he have that quarterback sack, but that pick in the end zone off of Terry Wilson.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna
go ahead. I know where
to
you're going.
To that point, loved him getting the catch. I really think, to be fair, I honestly think the way that the sun may be a concern at the beginning of Grey Cup, might be. You saw how it really, I think, played tricks tonight with the game, with both teams. But Dequoy should not have taken that ball out of the end zone. I understand what he was trying to do, but get yourself out to the 30.
Yeah, that should have been a touchback.
Just kneel it down and go to the 30.
Yeah, and it's funny because Dequoy has, I think, the Alouettes had mentioned it too. I think this was his 4th interception at Princess Auto Stadium.
Only his first this year.
That in itself is kind of mind-blowing. I mean, we talked about how he's really come alive in the second half of the season. Like, it's almost like he just found himself again and started to come afire, which, again, that's exactly what he did in 2023 and was an integral part of this Alouettes team going to and winning the Grey Cup. So having Marc-Antoine Dequoy, get back into his groove is something you absolutely want to see as an Alouettes fan. And I think if you were to ask him, in hindsight, he should have just taken a knee. As soon as he caught the ball from Wilson, he should have just taken the knee, let the Alouettes start on the 30. And again, that would have given MBT a little bit more time and space to overthrow his receivers. I mean, try to get something going. Sorry, I meant that.
Oh, you're not snarky tonight. Neither of us are. I mean, he's like,
what do you mean? I mean,
okay, I'm so sorry. I'm going to go back to this again. I'm probably going to say for the rest of the season. Danny Mac needs to do some work this offseason and finding ourselves another veteran presence to back up Davis Alexander. Because we know what backups get paid, and I'm sorry. I understand he has a pedigree. He's won himself a Grey Cup or two. One is but this year he's just not, the elbow, whatever is whether the elbow, he burns bone spurs or whatever it is, he wasn't worth the 150,000 plus that he was to be a backup quarterback this year. Cody Fajardo in Edmonton? Yes.
Ooh.
MBT in Montreal in 2025? No. So, anyways, I digress.
And actually, it was during their presser today, the Elks presser today. Mark Kilman basically said on no uncertain terms that Cody Fajardo will be the guy we want under center in 2026. So,
wow,
I think that's a very damning statement right there for not just Trey Ford, but for Cody Fajardo as well. Just that what he brings to the team, and again, kudos to Cody for doing what it takes.
And we love Cody. We love Cody, and we understand the reasoning why he wasn't back. We get that. Mm-hmm. We get that. I mean,
but I think ultimately what's going to happen though
is it like a Brady Bledsoe type of thing?
See, that's just it.
Maybe.
Or do the Alouettes think about as far as QB2? I mean, Shea Patterson has more than proven himself. If Caleb Evans comes back, which it really is too soon to tell whether or not he'll be able to recover. Yeah. And even if he does, would he even want to come back? Just maybe suffering those two horrific injuries over the past 2 years. I can't help but wonder if maybe does he even want to come back and play football. I mean, it's tough. So now you have to ask yourself who would be in that category for like a backup quarterback. I mean, yes, you want somebody with experience, somebody who has played this game, this played Canadian football at this level. I'm almost kind of concerned, like if you bring in someone of that caliber of like an MBT type, like a experienced quarterback. I mean, maybe you go with somebody who actually is a little bit closer to the skill set of a Davis Alexander and to a lesser degree, Shea Patterson and Caleb Evans. I mean, like I look at James Morgan and I don't know if he's that guy too. I don't think he can truly be that guy. He's shown this year, unfortunately, that maybe he's not it. So
I get that. I get that. And I think we've seen things out of Morgan, because I don't think it's fair to say that about James Morgan, with all honesty. That's just my opinion. Davis Alexander was not thrown into the fire in the time that he was the backup quarterback prior to being named the guy this year. Got his chance last year and show what he could do. True. If it's the same thing for James, same thing for James Morgan, maybe that would be the case. Also, he'd be a dynamo backup. But James was thrown in. As I said, I don't know. I think James, honestly, if all the guys Shea Patterson, yes, I think James Morgan deserves to have another shot. Again, it's stuff that's going to happen in the offseason.
Yeah. It's funny to mention with Strevler going down, a lot of people had been saying earlier in the season, like, over the past couple of weeks, like, would the Blue Bombers go out and get a Cameron Dukes? Like, since Montreal let him go, and even Chris Walby talked about it to possibly bring him in. Now with Strevler clearly he's not going to be able to make this playoff run. I wonder if if you're Winnipeg, do you do that? Do you go out and get a Cameron Dukes just to have on the roster as an insurance policy, even, because I'm not saying Terry Wilson played terrible game today. Like, he was kind of thrown into the fire, but at the same time, if Zach Collaros goes down to injury, who do you turn to? Like, you want to have somebody that has played in this league and has won games and won a Grey Cup, which Cameron Dukes has done as a member of the Argos, even as early as last year. I mean, I think that would be wise for Winnipeg to do it. I mean, listen, I'm not telling them how to do their job, but I mean,
no,
I definitely think
that too, but
that is certainly an option. And I can't help but wonder, as we go into the off season, Daddy Mac's going to have to take a look at the quarterback situation and say, you know what, tried our best with MBT. We thought maybe this would be the answer. He's not the answer. James Morgan maybe can be the answer. As you said, maybe just a little bit more seasoning, a little bit more time working with like Davis Alexander, Anthony Calvillo, and the rest of his offense. Maybe, but no matter what, you're going to need somebody truly with the honest to goodness experience, like what we thought MBT would have provided, but ultimately it's not. So it's going to make for a very interesting offseason in that regards, because I truly don't see any situation where MBT comes back to this team. It's just, he doesn't have it. I'm sorry. He really truly doesn't have it. And that was put on display in a major way today.
Alouettes' last 5 drives of the fourth quarter, Cliff, all but were either a punt or a turnover on downs. We just needed some sort of change. I felt I really do. Owls gave up 177 yards of rushing. They did better. Positive. They did better on penalties today. A ton better. And I, the one call, the non DPI versus Najee Murray, I actually agreed with it. Yes, I'm an Owls fan, but I do agree with that. The call, it didn't stop his motion.
No, but it's funny. Like, you saw the jersey tug, and it looked like, okay, that's right away guilty. But as you said, it should not have impeded the receiver's ability to catch the ball, and ultimately it didn't. I think he pretty much lost it in the sun, to tell you the truth. So a good non-call, or sort of, well, I guess it was a call, but I guess a good use of the challenge by Jason Moss. And I mean,
actually,
what was great was it did lead to a field goal, but ultimately that's what you want, as opposed to lining up on the 1 yard line and a couple of touchdown plunges, potential plunges for a touchdown. Which, by the way, that touchdown that was scored by Terry Wilson on third and 1.
Don't get me started.
Oh, I'm getting you started. I mean, I'm sorry to say, not a touchdown, but
that was not a touchdown.
How about Tyrese Beverett with that somersault into, like, what it looked like? You look at Ravishing Rick Rude with the Rude Awakening.
No, it looked like it was doing a Randy Orton RKO.
Maybe, but backwards, right? Like, I mean,
yeah.
But wow, what an effort by! And I thought that was enough to stop the ball from going forward. And they're trying to.
I agree.
I'm sorry, and I know there's not.
Sky Cam was there. If the Sky Cam had been there, I think we would have gotten a reversal, because there wasn't enough to overturn it. That was the thing.
That's the problem, because it was called a touchdown on the field. You needed to have conclusive proof, video proof that that he did not break the plane, which unfortunately wasn't there. But I'm sorry, just with that it was a hell of an effort by Wilson. I'll give him props for that, but no, I think Tyrese and whoever the other defender that was kind of in that pile, I think they got to stop. I truly did, but
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do too. By the way, great comments, a great conversation in the chat. By the way, we're talking about potential guys that we could bring here as the backup quarterback. I don't actually disagree with this one from Brandon when they talk about Brown or Crum as being a backup. I don't really disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he was given a whole lot to work with in Ottawa. We know he has won games in this league. He's, as we talked about, he's a younger quarterback as well.
This one too from Chris. Trey Ford will most likely be available.
Well, again, once I saw the Fajardo comment, basically saying that he didn't think Trey Ford was long for Edmonton, and with Mark Killam all but saying that this is Cody Fajardo's position now, I joked, get ready to learn Red Blacks, buddy, because
It
Yeah,
might be that too. Yeah, especially with the changes going to be happening in Ottawa with them firing the head coach, Bob Dice, and stuff like that. Who knows what's going to happen there in our nation in 2026? Here's another comment, by the way, from Denny. Yes, Olivia had an outstanding game earlier this year. This is concerning if they end up playing the Owls next week. Disagree. I completely disagree with that comment. It's because the Alouettes have gone through these games this year, Cliff, where they have given up a ton of yardage, but they have been able to score. And also, Denny, remember, this will be the first, if it is Winnipeg, this will be the first time that Davis Alexander has started under center versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah. I know the run defense for the Alouettes can be a little suspect at times, but
yeah,
they've already
Winnipeg,
played
Toronto, a little bit versus Winnipeg, Saskatchewan this year.
No, I think this defense, and again, a lot will depend on the injuries to the defensive line, but I think when the bright lights are on and when the game truly does count, I think this Alouettes defensive line, this front seven is going to, if they end up playing Brady Oliveira, he's going to have to work hard for everything. I mean, he'll no doubt get his yardage. He'll no doubt even score a touchdown or two because that's just how a lot of this offense is designed in Winnipeg. But it's not going to be so easy. He's not going to run roughshod over this Alouettes defense. That's one thing I can say with certainty is that Brady Oliveira will definitely get his licks in, but I do not see him literally running all over the Montreal Alouettes defense.
Yeah, and we're talking about how good and bad we've been checking about this throughout the year. At least I have. We talk about how if your second down conversion rate, actually, it's funny. The league popped it up today during the game itself. Coming into the game, the Alouettes were at 47% on second downs, which was placed them fifth in the league. Today, the Alouettes, because of their ineptness and anemic offense, they were at 6 for 20 for 30%. But fear not, fellow football fans. Winnipeg was even worse. They were at 26.1% on second downs today. But they had
race to the bottom.
But they had the big plays when they needed it. That's the thing. They got that touchdown. That was really the game right there.
Yeah, because I mean, at one point the score was like 6-4. It felt more like the Montreal Canadiens playing the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that is not exciting football. I don't give a rat's ass what do you think about this league and everything like that. Like a 6-4 game is not exciting. But yeah, once Winnipeg found the end zone, I mean, again, kudos to them for doing so. I mean, Montreal, unfortunately, I mean, they were relying on their kickers to put points on the board, which, as I've said, is not a recipe for success. I mean, I give Jose Matos Diaz props. 3 field goals, absolutely amazing. Joseph Zima with the Rouge. Okay,
so
great.
Close to the corner kick. So close.
Which he does with gusto so well. And unfortunately, it just, kind of made its way into the end zone. But I mean, this really was a field goal kicker's dream, this kind of game, because both
for sure.
Sergio Castillo and Jose Matos Diaz, 2 Latino kickers, imagine that, playing against each other.
And as I said earlier, what a difference from last year's Mother Nature game versus this one. What a difference.
Big time. I mean,
Manila brings up a good comment too, our executive producer. She does say the O-line scares me more than anything right now. And it's true. We were talk about Tiger Shanks. Tiger really got burned a few times. One of the sacks that MBT took. We all gave up, I think, 3 for the day. I got to verify that here. But it is kind of concerning.
Well, considering this today, it felt like the O-line was being held together with duct tape and a prayer. I mean, that's definitely concerning. I mean, Jesse Gibbon goes down to injury. We already lost Donnie Ventrelli, who unfortunately did not play his best game against Ottawa last week, and also ends up getting hurt as a result. I mean, this is the time of year where you want everybody clicking, and if you're throwing in
2 sacks, by the way, we gave up 2 sacks today.
Still not great. It's like you expect to see a lot. And again, I'm still very much of the hope that when the game truly counts next Saturday, these guys are going to bring their A game and give it their best effort. But I mean, like you expect better out of guys like Tiger Shanks, who was the first round draft pick this year by the Alouettes and had looked pretty solid in replacing Jamar McGloster. But today he looked like a rookie, and that's not ideal, especially when it's week 21 and you're out there because you're basically replacing a veteran who did not look all that great. Still a bit concerning, but Here's hoping that
a veteran quarterback who is not very mobile. That's the plus also about Davis Alexander.
No, I meant he was replacing a veteran O lineman in Jamar McGosser.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But yes, I mean, ultimately your job as tackle is to protect your quarterback, to give him the time and space to do something. And yeah, unfortunately, Tiger Shanks didn't show that today. I mean, I'm hoping it was just a bad day at the office for him. It happens, and better it happens today than say next Saturday or in a couple of weeks at the Grey Cup. But still something that, as I said, he looked like a rookie today, which let's not forget, he is.
Yeah. Again, too, and I don't know what, we may hear certain things in the media. It's like, I think one other thing earlier this week was, well, if the Owls lose with all the players that Winnipeg sat down, and then versus what's if the Davis does play and they lose, it says something to you, Cliff. What does this game tell you about the Owls? Now, obviously, there are a lot of variables, but what does this game tell you about the Alouettes?
I think what this game would tell me is that they want to start the playoffs. I go back to that 5-game losing streak earlier this year when Davis was out, and there was a couple of games that the Alouettes could have walked away with a W, and damn near did, but certain circumstances made the difference. And ultimately, I look at those games and like, yeah, a couple of things gone their way, and those could have easily have been wins. And the fact that they couldn't get those wins definitely, I think, told the tale for the rest of the year. I mean, I'll give you 2 examples. The loss against BC, Montreal should have absolutely had that game. The loss against Edmonton at Percival Molson Stadium, also they should have had that game.
Yes.
Had they won those games, even if it was just by like the skin of their nose, it'd be a different story altogether. This team would already have they would have been at 12 wins, and this would almost be a non-factor. In fact, it probably would have shaped the story completely different with Hamilton as well. But it is what it is. I mean, I think today's game had to be played. I mean, I still think the Alouettes did the very smart thing in not playing Davis Alexander. I know he wanted to play this game. I know he wanted to show what he can do. He can be that leader and that. But I think ultimately the Alouettes did the right thing. It sucks to talk about a loss, of course. I mean, like, especially going into the playoffs, you want to have that momentum. You don't want to coast into the playoffs. Like we saw it last year, and we might even see it again this year with Saskatchewan, for example. I mean, those are 2 prime examples of staying hot at the right time. And I don't think this has truly put out Montreal's fire, but at the same time, it's still flickering. You still want to go in with the best intent. And there's no question in my mind that next Saturday, Montreal is going to put their best foot forward. They're going to have Davis Alexander behind center. They're going to have their starters. Tyler Sneed's going to be playing. My hope is that the guys that got injured, if they were counting on them to play in the game next Saturday, hopefully they'll be okay. Hopefully it's not as severe as what it is, but no matter what, I fully expect Montreal to have their best foot forward, play the best possible team, whether it's against the BC Lions or the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I fully expect them to show up in a big way next Saturday.
Obviously, we're going to be able to give a little bit more thoughts, more than just our initial reactions to the game itself, and hopefully we'll have a little bit more updates on these players and stuff like that on the show on Wednesday. As a reminder that the CFL really has not made any. It's funny. We put out the tweet that was put out late night the other night, and then it was picked up by 3 down. But the CFL really hasn't made any, I don't think, official comment yet on the game itself. But remember, the games coming up this week for the semifinals, originally scheduled to start at 3 p.m. Eastern time in Montreal, is going to now be at 2. Everything's been pushed up an hour as a just in case if the Blue Jays and the LA Dodgers do go to 7 games. That would be Game 7 there that would be held in Toronto on that same day. And they did state though that no matter what happens with the World Series, the game time is now set at 2. It's been written in pen. Hasn't been penciled in. It's in pen. It's in marker. So we'll, no matter what, be at 2 p.m. at Percival Molson this coming Saturday, November 1st.
Yeah, so if you want to get your tailgating in, you're gonna have to come a little bit earlier set up because the game's starting earlier. And I think this was a smart move because God forbid if there was going to be a conflict between the World Series Game 7, if it goes that far. I mean, with both the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, I mean, like these are two high power offenses. I mean, it could go 7 games. I mean, and yeah, the fact that Game 7 would be in Toronto, and you know that the vast majority of Canada, whether your CFL team's going to be in the playoffs or not, I think a lot of people are going to be paying attention to see if Toronto does bring the World Series back to Canada or not. But I think this was a smart move to make. There's going to be no conflict. So you got both games starting an hour earlier than expected. That means they'll be finishing sooner and there won't be any conflict. Sports fans are going to be in their glory because they'll get to watch, hopefully, maybe they will watch a Game 7 of the World Series. Maybe they won't. But I think this was a smart move that the CFL made. And kind of funny that they did it while everybody was sleeping too. Like, you basically woke up to that news.
It's like a Friday night news drop when you don't for a government or something like that you don't want to be seen.
Yeah, we want to slide that in there and hope nobody notices until after the fact. But that was I found it to be very interesting. And hat tip again to Mark Steven, the voice of the Calgary Stampeders on Q107 in Calgary. He was the one that, yeah. And it's funny, it was on the CFL website too, believe it or not. I mean, like we talk about
Scoop 3 down.
Listen, scooped everybody really when you think about it, but it's just a simple matter of go to the CFL page and boom, there it is. Like, what? Wait, what? Oh, okay. That's, and again, a very smart move on the part of the Canadian Football League to make that very slight adjustment. I mean, knowing full well that it's very possible that this World Series could go Game 7 to 7 games. And if it does, they're ready for it. There's not going to be any conflicts. That's, to me, I think a very smart play on behalf of the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, can't wait to say. I'll say Brandon and Fam and all the rest of Alouettes Nation will be here for the game, and obviously we're expecting another sellout. And I'm expecting to the cable cam. There's a plus and minuses to the cable cam, I will admit, especially where we currently sit. But and also and I was going to bring something on the show, but the Alouettes announcing they're partnering with a local company that did, I think, some of the Super Bowl halftime shows, where they're going to have some LED. I don't know what to describe it as, but enhancements to the stadium for Saturday. And my thought is, well, it's during the day. How's it going to work? But mind you, seeing what they've done at Rogers Centre in Toronto, even though it is bright during the game, you can see what whatever company has done for these lights. So I'm curious to see what's going to be done. But if anybody's seen some of the past recent shows, I think they did the one with the weekend. I think for the COVID Super Bowl and stuff like that. Phenomenal stuff that they've done. This company has done. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah. And let's not forget too, I mean, like the game's going to start at 2:00. There's no guarantee it's going to be bright and sunny out. So, I mean, maybe that's what they're banking on, is that it's going to be not overcast, maybe necessarily, or dark early or whatnot. But I mean, it won't be like,
will we by game's end? Yeah.
Maybe we'll see. But listen, if this is another opportunity for the league and the Alouettes as well to do something that's going to stand out and get people excited, then I'm all for trying it out. I mean, listen, it's going to make for, I think it's going to be a very interesting game no matter what next Saturday, regardless of who the Alouettes play, because again, it's the playoffs. It's win or go home, or maybe in Montreal's case, stay home. Hopefully not. But
currently it says 8 degrees, by the way, currently.
So we're going to be busting out the puffer jackets, probably just as a safeguard.
Yeah.
And so again, folks, you now have an assignment next Saturday, November 1st. That's the Eastern semifinal. The Montreal Alouettes will be hosting. Don't know who they're playing yet, but I don't care. Be there. If you haven't gotten your tickets, you better hurry, because I don't know if it's, I guess maybe they're waiting. Maybe the Alouettes were waiting to see what was going to happen, where they're going to truly play their game, to decide if it's going to be a sold out or if they're going to have additional tickets or what have you. But if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, I strongly advise you do so, because I'm fully expecting a sellout. I'm fully expecting a packed house. I fully expect everybody to bring the noise, bring the energy. I'm expecting Alouettes Nation to do everything they can to encourage the Alouettes to victory.
For sure, for sure. Again, we will be back on Wednesday. Don't know what we're planning on yet, but we will have the show on Wednesday to talk about the upcoming matchup versus the whomever.
To be
And also, if you
determined.
missed any, yeah, if you've missed any part of this broadcast, make sure you head over to the archive over at X, Facebook, or over on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, follow us if you haven't already, and if you do, make sure you do hit the bell button to know your notifications to see when we do go live, whether it be Flightdeck Live or any of our other shows that we have out. And if you missed this past week's episode with legend Chris Wallaby, make sure you go back and listen to it. It is available on YouTube and available over on any of the podcast aggregates.
Absolutely. It was a great opportunity to speak with Chris Walby about this game. I mean, it's so funny. I'm sure he was very disappointed to see, because he had talked about he wanted to see the starters play. He wanted to see, for both teams, to see, this game had to be important because, again, you may be playing these guys possibly again the week after, but you want to know what you got. You want to, and he made some very good points. So I'm sure he was very disappointed to see that Winnipeg had rested a vast majority of their starters, Montreal too, to a degree. But if it's these two teams again next week, I mean, you better believe the starters will be playing and they're going to give everything they have, because it's going to be a tough road to get to the Grey Cup. I don't care what anyone says. Like, and if anyone who thinks playing the East teams is the path of least resistance, I think you're going to be in for a shock, because Montreal, I'm sure it hears that. Here's what everybody's thinking, like, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk to get to the Grey Cup by going through the East. I think Montreal is going to have a very, very big say on whether or not how easy it's going to be to get to the Grey Cup via the East. And if somehow you do manage, you still got Hamilton, who, again, they've been hot and cold, but they too, I think, are clicking at the right time as well. So I don't care who it is that goes to the Eastern Final, it's going to be a tough road to hoe. So if you truly think it's going to be easy going through the East, hey, you're entitled to your opinion. I respect that, but I guarantee both Hamilton and Montreal are going to have a big say in just how easy, quote unquote, it's going to be to get to the Grey Cup.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Again, we appreciate everybody who has joined us for Flightdeck Live this week. We will be back for the show on Wednesday. And again, just follow us on all of our socials. We appreciate every single one of you who have joined us for the regular season. It's off to the playoffs, my friend. So for the final time, for the final time here in the regular season, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We'll talk to you soon.